Damn guys, we are getting closer to finally be able to see what our almighty Asphalt 9 developers have prepared for the 5th anniversary of this breathtaking game, and I think it would be a good idea to make a video showing the 3 best things and the 3 worst things Asphalt 9 has nowadays. I thought on making a top 5, but would have ended on a way too long video, and that's not my goal. So with nothing else to add, let's jump into today's video. Well, I have decided to plan the video the following way. For every good thing I say, I will mention a counterpart, so we all can end with an appropriate balance about the game as a whole. First thing first, I think that at this point it's pretty clear that one of the best things Asphalt 9 has nowadays is its graphics. Because seriously guys, I think that after playing hundreds and hundreds of different mobile games of all kinds and genres, I can say that Asphalt 9 is, with no doubt, one of the best games when it comes to graphics, at least that you can have on your phone or tablet. And this is obviously no joke. The game, despite is an arcade racing game and it's not trying to simulate real-life behaviors when it comes to physics, has a truly stunning graphics with motion blur, weather effects, and a ton of different advanced light behaviors, which makes the experience of playing it completely different from any other similar titles. I know that this is quite obvious, but I had to point out because omitting it would have been a rookie mistake I'm not willing to do. Kinda surprising that after 5 years, very few games from other mobile racing game developers got nearly close to what Asphalt 9 has in terms of graphics, to be honest. The second thing Asphalt 9 has is the progression. And why, you may be asking? Well, I guess that if you play Asphalt 9 before, you may have realized that you can start playing career and daily events and eventually you will unlock a few cars, but at a certain point it feels like you get stuck since it's harder to obtain the new cars and leave aside all the cars of the game. Well, here I have to give props to Gameloft for coming with ideas that definitely made the way for all the newcomers a bit faster and easier to do, with events like the Starways or special events that welcome beginners, as it's the case of the Ferrari 4AA GTB that appears to every single beginner once they unlock the special events tab, gives for completely free the aforementioned Ferrari, so they can progress a bit faster through career. And that combined with Grand Prixes and the daily events definitely makes today newcomers beginning easier and faster than those who arrived before them. And that change, that's quite good since helps players to stick longer to the game, and that's beneficial to all of us as a community. And last but not least, I wouldn't say this is a completely perfect thing, but none of us are perfect either, so I will take it. One of the best things that Asphalt 9 has nowadays is the community. This may be kinda controversial depending on who you ask, but I had the chance to meet quite cool people through my 4 years journey on this game, and if it's true that there are all kinds of people, like pretty much everywhere in life, there are many friendly and willing to help individuals that will make your stays on this game way funnier and more entertaining than if you were to play as a lone wolf, you know? And I'm not talking about doing Club Clash or doing club reputation and that stuff, which of course are quite important as well. I'm talking about the people behind each nickname and that stuff. But I have to admit that your view on the community will also depend on the way you are, since that will ultimately determine where your interactions will lead to. Here, I would like to mention all the things that Gameloft has been doing for the community, like releasing events featuring official creators, and most importantly, the new codes that allow many of us to claim free rewards from the game. They might have not been insane rewards overall, but that's maybe only because maybe that's just for me because I'm the kind of guy that bought the 100 rise bundles on the shop. So let's just end this saying that the rewards were quite nice overall from an objectives perspective. But now here comes the part that will eventually lead to a lovely cease and desist letter from Gameloft HQ. Please notice the irony. I have spent a ton of money on Asphalt 9 and I can pay lawyers over an 8-minute long video, so please just take it as a joke, okay? The 3 counterparts of the aforementioned good things, or if you prefer to call them that way, the 3 main bad things that Asphalt 9 has as for now. Starting with the graphics, the truth is that one small downside is that Asphalt 9 requires a certain minimal requirements in case you want to run it without any kind of issues, and these prerequisites are not met by the totality of the player base, which not only leads to poor performance gameplay in some devices, but to some bugs and graphic errors that often ruins the potential entertainment the game has to offer. Also, this often led to players having connection problems while playing multiplayer. Right now, I remember a bug where on devices with low processor and not enough RAM, players began the race when everyone else was already way ahead, making it virtually impossible to win a multiplayer match, which obviously ruins other experience as well. And despite this can be certainly annoying, the truth is that Gameloft is not culprit 100% of all these issues, because Asphalt 9 is way more optimized on iOS, for example, because there are way less models to implement the game on. Only the iPhone models, the iPads, maybe some macOS and that stuff. On Android, on the other hand, there are dozens of brands with hundreds of different devices, which makes the task of optimizing the game insanely harder and thus leading to poorer performance on some devices. This video is mostly focused on Asphalt 9 as a mobile game, but on Windows, for example, we recently got an update that improved a lot the graphic options, allowing for a better optimization, but of course, there is always margin to improve, you know? And if we move into the progression, if all what I mentioned earlier was true, there is a huge obstacle that many of the beginners will face on basically all aspects of the game. And that's the competition against other players, especially these that has been playing since basically the game was released, or that after spending a lot of money on the game have stronger and more capable cards for multiplayer and basically events as well, that on the right hands basically obliterate any chance of fair competition between the newcomers and the skilled players, and that definitely leads to frustration, since the truth is that if you are not patient enough, this game may not be for you, since it takes time and a good plan to develop a good garage as a free-to-play player. Without a good plan, the gap between those that have better garage than you will only be bigger, not smaller. And this is even more noticeable depending on what platform you begin the game at, because if you start playing on an Android device, it will be definitely easier than if you begin on an iPhone or iPad, since iOS is the platform with the smallest number of players out of all the platforms you can play Asphalt 9 at, and since there is no crossplay, this could be a more important factor than you may think. Also, the game is not extremely friendly to anyone willing to spend some money, since, well, yes, Legend Pass costs like $10 for 28 days, and the rewards, despite that are not insane in more of the cases, are quite helpful. But well, when we have the bundles and other offers in the shop, where we can see insane bundles with prices up to $100 for just like 20 blueprints of a new car that overall requires over 200 blueprints, makes absolutely no sense. And I'm telling you this as a person who have bought some of the most expensive bundles, when I saw that they had something that could be helpful for me. So definitely what I said before is something that you really have to keep in mind as long as you keep playing this game. And well, what I'm about to say is not because of the community, but Asphalt 9 has a problem with the hackers, since the creator of a hack in Asphalt 8 decided to create a version of that hack for Asphalt 9. Infinite Shockwave and Unbreakable hackers have appeared from time to time on Android and Windows leaderboards, more specifically, and sometimes they target players using offensive names against them, other times they ruin Grand Prix groups. And despite that Gameloft tries to ban them as fast as possible, there are still a few of them trying to ruin other experience on Asphalt 9. Also, directly talking about the community, I would be lying if I say that everyone here is an absolute innocent angel, because the community is huge, and there are guys with big egos, there are cheaters, there are guys that will make you lose brain cells while talking to them, but still, and against all that odds, a vast majority of the community is quite chill and good, and as long as you behave as a normal human being and not as a perfect retard. But well, I think that was pretty much everything I wanted to say on this video. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section. Make sure to subscribe in order to not to miss anything about Asphalt 9, and I will see you really soon with much more Asphalt content. Goodbye. I've been